It's beginning to look a lot like Gimbals. I just thought of that song again from last night. And how cute is this little drum set with Teddy there knocking it out, as, little guy down here trying to figure out what's going on. Hopefully this thing is working. I have my microphone attached to my YouTube, and I'm hoping that people will let me know that I can be heard while walking around. I figured I'd walk around some more. I was kind of laughing because I have a pair of snow pants on. There were a couple things that I needed to get for winter, and I was like, I could get snow pants for like when it's really cold and I'm walking and everything. And someone had on a pair of nylons, like waiting to go out for the night, maybe like a dinner date or just like meet up with someone. I haven't worn nylons probably in about 25 years, so I thought it was a little bit funny. So anyway, please let me know if you can hear me. Hopefully you can. Earlier I was doing a cheese curd dedication to my mom, who loved cheese curds. It was sort of a cute thing that she and her sister would do in their old age. They would go out to Culver's and sort of be funny and say, oh, we love the cheese curds at Culver's. They don't have Culver's up here, I don't think. I've been living up in the Northeast for most of my life, but I don't recall ever seeing a Culver's. But many years I've been here in the city, and I don't drive around like the suburbs and stuff. I don't have a car, so it would be rare for me to, like, I wouldn't know if there's a Culver's unless I really got out of Dodge, right? So there's a Christmas song, "Oh Come Ye All Ye Faithful," right? So I was trying to think of a Christmas song the other night when we had the Christmas karaoke, and we have the guy who comes out here busking and singing for tips, just north of the Latham. So busking is any musician. I did it as a yogi once. I busked right after busk, Busked. I did it after all the gyms closed down and I couldn't teach yoga. And this is in Gainesville, Florida. I was like, maybe I could busk as a yogi, but really it's reserved for musicians. So anyone who either sings or plays guitar or what have you, they'll come out and try to get tips while showing off their talent, or just out of desperation. It takes a lot to be able to be it takes a lot for a person to get to the point to be able to busk. That is an actual, something has to happen in the brain for people to be able to do that. Not many people can actually do it. There's tons of people, there's students at Curtis Institute of Music, and they can't quite get to that point where they would actually go outside and busk. It's partially ego and putting it off, kicking it to the curb a little bit. It's a thing. There's something that happens to people's brains, and they're able to get into that position to actually be able to busk. Or they grow up in situations like in a church and they do a lot of gospel, or people are used to sort of being on stage and they'll just do it. And then I guess some people have all kinds of motives for coming out here, but anyway, or wherever. Brandy Carlisle used to sort of talk about busking, and early on in her career, she's the one who did the joke, but many, many years ago, she started out kind of in Seattle or Portland, in that area, the Pacific Northwest. Sun Tzu in the house, right? So the art of war. So this is so many years sort of dedicated to showing that Philly still needs to up its game on helping the homeless. I call him Sun Tzu because I see him all the time, and he reminds me of The Art of War, a book that was written by Sun Tzu. If you can't, please let me know if you can hear me out there in listener land. Earlier I was having issues with the microphone, and I didn't realize it, and I think it was because it wasn't plugged in totally. Unless the CIA tapped in. I'm so not kidding. Weird things will happen like this. I don't know anything about the CIA, but unless they tapped in and made sure, because I had placards and I was specifically using them to send a message. I wrote messages on the little cards. But I did want to have the sound on. I was just doing that in addition. But I was like, that's weird. It's not, Joe chimed in and said, there's no sound. I was like, really? And I can't tell. Like, I would have no way of knowing until later. So in the last video that I did, sound did not come on until 3 minutes and 30 seconds in, or 3 minutes and 40 seconds in. And I wondered because I had written the placards. Also, when you're in the Walnut Beer Garden, they have speakers all over the place. So wherever you sit, there's music blaring out, and that's where I was to have cheese curds as a dedication to my mom and aunt. Both of them passed away technically during the pandemic. My mom was one of the first people to pass away. July, hopefully I wrote it correctly on the, did I put April? I have to fix it. She was July 29th. I might have put April, so I'll have to fix it. Just because I was thinking very quickly when I typed. My aunt passed away in April the following year, 2021, just after getting vaccinated. My mom did not have coronavirus. Other complications were going on, but my dad passed away in 2020. He did have coronavirus. And when you add it all up and look at all the factors, especially because of what started in my case in 2011, I actually think, and I very strongly believe, that my mom had to die for this country and for some greedy folks out there. She had to give up all of her Social Security check to be able to have a roof over her head, which meant she kind of paid to stay with my aunt. And like 90% of her check went to that. Plus paying for Dish, which is, they decided to have Dish as their TV company, if you will. And my mom didn't want to feel like she felt bad enough that she even had to sort of ask to live with someone. So she paid all of the Dish, by the way, Georgia, who put a sign up letting me know that they turned everything off while I still had like a week and a half to try to hurry up and get out. They basically kicked me to the curb, even though I'm a really good person, and they aren't. Got a lot of cold hearts out there. Adios. I had to report all of them to the CIA. Phone numbers and everything, and I had to block their phone numbers. I was like, this is crazy. I can't believe these people are behaving this way. Hey, Michigan. How you doing? Michigan, Washington. Go blue. So anyway, hello, Akram Zir. Yes, I think you were on last night. Thank you so much. Hopefully you can hear me. My microphone was not working as well. Like, I don't think I had it fully plugged in. So then I was worried that there was no sound on the video. I wasn't talking at first on the last one, but there was music that would have been in the background. So it should be working. Hopefully so. And really quick, here's the back of the harbor up here. Here's Body Bucky Center, and that's if you want to get like liposuction or cosmetic surgery on your face. The best workout, and then calves. That's weird. So Kavanaugh's was a bar that used to be all the way over here. For short, you can call it Calves now. They just thought of it because they're next to a workout gym and a cosmetic surgery place. Isn't that neat? Isn't that clever how they came up with that? And it's next to Federal Donuts and Goldie. Federal Donuts and Goldie, they moved on down here to this block. They were about 3 blocks back. Sorry, 3 blocks back. That's hard to say a million times fast. And oddly, they were in like a 3-story edifice or building at the top, Pulse Nightclub, or Nightclub Pulse. Just like Orlando and that mass shooting and the GoFundMe that brought in more money than any other GoFundMe in the history of GoFundMe. Isn't that weird? Philly? Also, they came up with a Kafar Cafe, and a lot of villages in Israel go by Kafar. And Pearl Properties, which owns that building there, the Harper, like Bryce Harper of the Philadelphia Phillies, Kafar, and he's number 3, and that's floor 3 right there. They have a little social area, a little garden that looks like Narnia, and then you take that little steps down to the pool and everything. Pearl Properties owns I think Kafar also, because they're tucked into the Pearl Properties sort of whole building that's meshed in with the Target store. And someone came in to say, now just to be clear, Kafar is the term for village. It actually means village in Hebrew. So there's lots of Kafars. But my issue is it's actually part of the Target store. Like, it's right behind the Target store. It's part of the same property, the same brick. So I'm kind of curious what Philly predicts or foretells. What's going on, and what does calves mean with Body Bucky Center and Barry's Workout, which looks like a bloodied red gym in the basement? They advertise like this blood red gym. Is it Pizzagate-ish or what is it? So anyway, but right next to Kate's Place, and Kate's Place is a special housing for low income. You have to qualify for it and everything. So anyway, here's Shake Shack. So some people use it like, oh, did you shake that person? Shake them down really bad? Smack down, get the shake down. Shake Shack. Shake that house. We're house cleaners. That's another code word. Never date anyone who says, oh yeah, I'm into house cleaning, because you don't know what they mean. What kind of house cleaning? I'm just into house cleaning. What do you mean? Cleaning your house of your bank account? So people actually talk in code that way around here, right, Heather? Cute, Karina. We'll have to come up with a new code language and everything. We're just doing whatever. So hello, Dave. Yes, good evening. Sorry about that. I did see it, but of course I get on my whole rant and everything, so I forgot to say hello. So here we are on Sansom, which is as fake as it gets. Not to be mistaken for Samson and Delilah, the M and the N are switched. So it's Sam-Sum. Sam-Sum. Samson and Delilah would be like S-A-M as in Mary as opposed to S-A-N. He's a tourist here up in the house. I'm wearing some snow pants that I got in preparation for cold weather. And as I was coming, and I feel like a snowboarder right now because I wanted to test them out to see if they would stay up or if they would be good for walking around a lot. And they seem to be doing okay. Hopefully we have some seriously cold temperatures. I mean, they're fine right now. They are warm. They have like a fleece lining kind of. But it's so funny. I came out through the lobby and there was someone down there like in a skirt and black nylons and everything. And it just like struck me as funny, like snow pants or nylons, What do you go for? Now, I have not worn nylons in years. I find them to be suffocating and oppressive. But I do recognize that people sort of have to wear nylons, a lot of ladies, just because, it's part of, maybe the office attire or going out on dates or looking very feminine or what have you. I'm not good at the feminine look. It's a total... I can't stand stretching those things over my legs and then feeling all like I got a rash and everything. It's a lot of work for people who don't do as much work in return. Hey, if I have to wear nylons, you gotta wear nylons, right? Here's Helium Comedy Club, canned laughter, crickets. If I have to wear nylons, then you gotta wear nylons. Why don't you come out on the catwalk and get judged in a two-piece? That's female feminism empowerment at its best. So the classical guitar store. But see how everything looks vintage and sort of like 1950-ish, 1950s-ish on this block, isn't, you know what I mean? So it turns out Maria Bamford was here a few weeks ago. I went to her show last year. I got a free ticket because she was all up in the house saying like, hey, Ginger Cakes, if you're kind of on a hardship plan right now and you need some free tickets, hit me up. So she was sort of, trying to, it's partially to bring people in. They do a good business down here, I think, in Philadelphia. There's a huge scene, like people will want to become comedians or they'll take classes to learn the skill of becoming a comedian. And I think she had a really good turnout. Maria Bamford is a big name. So I remember her from back in the day. So I remember her from a long time ago she does a lot of like imitation voices or whatever. So she, there's another word for it, but impersonating. So she impersonated someone who is like the head of say employment staffing services, like temp staffing. And some people very easily can adopt these sounds. It's kind of fakeish. It's a way to sort of like feel in control. And as soon as I heard her bit, and this is a long time ago that she had that skit, as soon as I heard it, I was like, yes, I totally know what you mean, because I can't figure out how people adopt this sound as if they own the world or as if they're the boss of everyone in the entire country when they really haven't earned it or anything. I know a lot of people like that. But the voice would be like, Maria. She kind of made it funny. Have I got a job for you? And it's sort of this whole sound. And anyway, I was hooked on Maria Bamford ever since. I was like, I'm so glad I got to see her in person and for free. Other than possibly a 2-drink minimum. I don't know if it wasn't. A 2-drink minimum for the table that you sit at. But if you are seated with another person and they get something and you get something, so I had to sort of buy one thing, but I got the cheapest thing you could get, and that was it. I didn't eat anything. It was worth it because every once in a while we all have to have something fun to do and try to get out there and do something interesting. And I've always wanted to see Maria Bamford. So after many, many years, because I think late 90s is probably when I was turned on to her and learned about her back in her San Francisco days, late 90s, early 2000s, back in Dave Chappelle days, because she's been through Comedy Central, all kinds of stuff. Oh my gosh, all these years later, can you believe it? She's at least married now, right? Here's the dealio with Maria Bamford. Interesting and true story. When I was being tortured to death by whatever kicked off in 2011, I mean, it was crazy, crazy, crazy. And I was trying to keep my brain straight and everything, because whatever these people do, it's like the inmates running the asylum. So say you're a totally normal person, you get ambushed in your apartment, your world gets turned upside down, and this whole city is a freaking circus show, freak show. I would rather say circus show. I know a few freaks, but circus show and then some, and really dumb people trying to act like they could take control of the entire universe. That's okay, they got caught. But anyway, they know there are higher up people who know who they are, and those people will now be limited for the rest of their lives and probably have to stay in the homes where they are until they die and never get to move on up. So anyway, but Maria also, in my mind, I wondered if she experienced something similar. Because all of a sudden she was on NPR. I heard like she had to go into a mental institution to sort of like sort things out. She felt like she was on something wacky happened. And ding, 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 the bells went off immediately. I was like, is she another person who got hit with whatever this thing is? Because there are actual people who swarm and do they're idiots. Like, they are willing to spend their time being dumb. And some people are street level, and some people are a little bit higher up because they have more money, but they never really had a life, they just sort of always had money and didn't really fill themselves up with other things. So they think it's world takeover or what have you. Didn't really pan out because it was someone's show. Someone was saying, like, in a way, it's a world stage show, it's a circus show. So everyone looked 10 times better than they actually are. And now, look them up now. We want to see if they ever wound up in a better position. Nope. Okay, good. Moving on. So anyway, I kept listening to this like NPR story about Maria Bamford, and I was like, I think she got messed up by whatever it is, whether it's the New World Order, people who are desperate, because it never changes, We can go on for eons and eons and things don't really change that much. But anyway, just looks a little different sometimes. Anyway, I was like, I wonder if she totally got whacked. And it might have looked different in her world than it looked in my world. Because Dave Chappelle also talked about it. I'm wondering how many regular people are hit by these groups of people and how many like famous people are hit by these people. So Dave Chappelle talked about, remember he ran away from Comedy Central. He went to Africa for a short time. Then he came back and told a story, and he's like, I don't know, things got really weird real quick. I know what that is, and I'm just a regular person, and I never aspired to be overly fabulous. I was a writer. I still am to a degree, but my brain is so tired of writing. It's ridiculous. So, but anyway, I aspired to little things like when you're a certain level of a writer, oh, maybe I could get this contract for $5,000 and start to piece together a living. If I can get 5 contracts for $5,000, that's $25,000. Maybe I could live in an apartment and eat, And that's how writers operate when you're at a certain level. If you're super lucky, you keep pitching and maybe you'll get a small imprint of a publishing company to maybe say, okay, we can work with this book, and maybe you'll get an advance for like $10,000. And then you get an advance, and then there's work from there, and then you hope the book sells, and then you get money afterwards if there's, actual sales of your book. That's very normal for people who have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree and want to make a go of it and kind of try it, take a stab at it. That's what I was told to say, because we're headed towards the Riverwalk and we're not afraid to be stabbed. For people who try to fearmonger in invisible ways. So anyway, is this FedEx? Right, he looks, oh my gosh, we always run into each other at FedEx on Latimer. Somehow we are on similar paths. I run into him so many times. I think he lives on Spruce. So here we are, our FedEx buddy there, like kind of, unwittingly FedEx buddies over the course of 20 years. So anyway, so Maria experienced something, but she went into, she decided to check into a mental institution or what have you, or similar, unless she just made it part of a skit. But I wondered if she was hit with something that you can't really prove tangibly, like you can't point at it necessarily. In this case, technically you could have pointed at some situations, how to handle it in terms of how to get rid of it, I'm not really a jail person, but if somebody was out to hurt me in a big way, then they need to sort of be held accountable. But anyway, So get back to my point here. I was trying to decide which way to go. I couldn't tell what it was. Maria seemed to have this episode, went into some sort of mental institution, and then kind of crawled out from there. And then she restructured her comedy around her experience. So in a way, she has a niche audience. She has adopted a newish appearance, just kind of based on her experience and her older age. So hi, Joe. Yes, thank you. You go this way, right? Thank you. I'm glad the microphone works this time around. Also, Dave Chappelle talks a lot about certain things that happened, and he was freaked out and creeped out by the whole thing. And I got the mother load, and I'm nobody special. I'm a regular person, just like most people walking around here. In fact, I'm slightly above average in terms of education, but monetarily, I would be average to below average. But that would be par for the course for people in creative fields. When you're an artist, you often have to live what they call the artist way, and a million people, I know already, I know Maria's heard of it already, Maria Bamford, everybody in the world of artistry has heard of the book, The Artist Way. I was introduced to the book in 2010, no less. And I still hear about it. All of a sudden it'll pop up and it's like, oh God, they're bringing that book up again. And it's how to be disciplined as an artist, writer, whatever your art form is. It's you go through this whole journal. It has you, in fact, the ex-wife of some major Italian guy who wrote The Godfather or something. He's related to, he's like Al Capone-ish or whatever. She was the ex-wife, and she created the Artist Way book. She's the writer, the originator. Are we going upstairs or? I was turned on to that book, and lo and behold, I got it. But of course, back then, the big thing was go to thriftbooks.com. So if you go to thriftbooks.com, they have less expensive titles, so you don't have to pay as much like if you go anywhere else. And I was introduced to that back in the day. It's all part of the CIA program / movement, swear to God. So I don't know if they're going to start over again with a new Target or what. Are we? So, by the way, the Snowpants are doing quite well. They're staying up. I've been wearing these like leggings that are like yoga leggings and then jeans over them, like shorts over them, except the leggings are slightly big because I didn't want to go small. I was tired of getting small. And they kept, they slide down a lot, so you got to yank them up. The Snowpants are doing quite well. Thank you. I was told to bring that up. And anyway, here's another spread bagelry. So someone out there is probably wondering about Snowpants. And I'm wearing them right now. I got them on Amazon. It's not Art Tricks. It's like, I forget what the brand, what the company brand name is. It's nothing like, you don't really hear about them too often, but I figured, especially as a dog walker, kind of. Also, I love walking outside. And if I do these live streams, it's a way to stay warm when it's cooler. It is quite cool. My fingers are a little bit chilly, but we have some warm days coming up. I don't know if, right, Brew Mall, Joe, that's right. Brew Mall is tomorrow for you. I'm looking at this. They have all these lights sort of flickering and blinking all the way up the FMC Tower. Of course, FMC Tower has 46 floors. That's right. So if you go all the way, AKA Extended Stay, are we going Riverwalk or? AKA Extended Stay is a long-term hotel solution for people who need to stay somewhere long, like 6 months or whatever. Some people have been here for a couple years and it's really a hotel. And they're on the west side. And they told me to come this way, so I wasn't sure which way to go. I call that building the toothbrush building. In person, it changes, like there's orange and red and green, like fall colors. It's hard to tell through the viewfinder. It no longer looks like a toothbrush, but it used to have like lights up here that made it look like a toothbrush. So anyway, there's the Schuylkill River, and so everybody thinks they're all that in a bag of chips tonight, I guess. So anyway, they are a bag of chips, easily puppeted. So Snowpants are doing well. And if I had to wear nylons, that would not be good for Sharon. It's totally not the scene for Sharon. But other ladies have the prerogative, and they're such a pain though, right? I remember that. I used to work in a corporate setting many, many, many years ago. And it's like you get the runners in your stockings, you do, Luckily, Philadelphia is into creating more natural people who stay away from synthetic materials. So even if I were to wind up in a corporate setting to earn money, which I won't, but even if I were, I would now only wear like more natural materials, lighter textiles, sort of like what you would see in the world of psychology, and everybody's got these softer cotton, anything that's warm, inviting, softer, not harsh and synthetic and strangle someone with those knives, sharp and pointy. And I do soft, comforting, warm. The world is hard enough. All you need are all these sharp, scratchy materials to just make everyone's life a little bit worse, So, soft, cotton, light. That's me. Right. How about you guys? Right? So, that's too funny. Like, what would I wear in the cotton world? So, that's hilarious. I'll be playing on YouTube. I go to Rio. Yes, That's right. Joe uh, brought up the song Rio de Janeiro. I go to de Janeiro. I keep forgetting the exact way that it. So he likes to, and I forget the guy who sang it. But anyway, so here, FMC Tower, UPenn, or University of Pennsylvania, NASDAQ, and GlaxoSmithKline. Those are the offices. It's kind of hard to see. It can be blurry sometimes. And AKA Extended Stay is down here. Where are we crossing over? We were gonna. It's it's beginning to look a lot like Thanksgiving here on UPenn's campus. So there'll be tons of people all over the place. It's still kind of early. It gets dark so early. What time is it? Oh, it's 7:57. It's about 8 o'clock. But even at 6 o'clock, it's like, is it 8 o'clock? So this is AKA Extended Stay down here. And this would be the west location. The east one is over by Rittenhouse Square. This is West Philly officially. World Life Cafe is just down there. So I was here like a week or so ago when I saw the Kipnis, right? So here's AKA Extended Stay. And always smells like a fresh shampoo shower in there. You know how hotels can sometimes smell like, well, it did. All of a sudden it started to smell a little bit funky, and I wondered what was going on. But there you are with the autumn color. So this is a one-way bridge. So UPenn, people are up all the time, up until 11, still playing soccer so you can rest assured it feels safe around these here parts for the most part in the city. There's just so many people here, and a lot of people do consider themselves very high level. This is an Ivy League school with all the medical centers all over there. Drexel's also over here. They consider them high level technical people, IT and other stuff. So, but we got people down here playing, I guess, soccer or rugby or lacrosse. It's not lacrosse. So this is a brand new, it's new-ish. It's not like totally brand new, but it's new, like 2018 new. And this is it's so great to be able to come out in the city and really take advantage of things that are out here, from tax dollars or gifts from wealthy patrons of the University of Pennsylvania. Like the Riverwalk, technically tax dollars pay for the Riverwalk, and the Riverwalk is on the other side by that building there. And the dog park is over there, and we've been over there before. Peter Allen, that's right. Have a good night. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. There's the train on the tracks there. It was so nice having you come in, and Joe's birthday is in a couple days. So we'll have to remember just to sing and wish Joe a happy birthday on, I think, Friday. 59 years old, I think he said. That's probably why I thought 19th. I knew there was a 9 in there somewhere. So, and there's, okay, so we'll do all that. WXPN is right there. And technically, a lot of people stay out late. A lot of money in these here parts. It's very expensive to go to an Ivy League school. University of Pennsylvania is considered Ivy League. So that comes with a big price tag for everyone, unless you get a full ride scholarship or some federal aid or special money and so forth and so on. So there's the train. Medical center's over there. That's the Penn Medicine, a newer building in purple. It changes colors, I think. I got to get up early, Sharon. Oh, right, that's right, because you have to get to your appointment, so that means a whole schedule. All right, well, we will look for you tomorrow. I'll be out there, I'm sure. Earlier, I wanted to live stream, but I just had sort of for some reason, there were bad vibes in the city, and it was hard to walk around without sort of all the traumas coming up again from it's the whole thing that Philly does. So we got all these guys sort of having a moment. I don't know if they're ending the match or if they're intermission or what have you. So we can go around the base here. They even have, someone's all the way over there on the other field. And I wanted to head down to the South Street Bridge. So I have to remember, there's a couple ways to get there. I want to take the bridge back around the Franklin Stadium and do it that way. Because I think one other time I tried to go through that parking lot, and then you got to climb up the stairs by the ice rink, and it's a little confusing. So there's a bridge down here. I think if I go here, I can take a bridge over there or there. So this is all University of Pennsylvania. There's like a caboose over here on the train tracks. I've walked down here before. Head on down here. So these Snowpants, they have a little bit of a swish because they're sort of, built for snowboarding or skiing or what have you. But they're not overly baggy. Like some Snowpants are super, swishy. I've actually been snowboarding once. I've been skiing like twice maybe. I don't love skiing. It's very scary. So I had to snowplow, put the ski in snowplow formation and just hope for the best. But I kind of hung out with a couple, and President Biden, 46 floors in the FMC. That's what I was told to say. Should we go this way around or up? Where's the bridge? So I think this is the baseball section. So I went snowboarding. I think it was only once, with this couple that I hung out with at the University of Delaware. She did a lot of crew rowing and everything, and they just decided to try snowboarding one day. So I went with them. It's also, it's scary stuff when you're an adult trying to learn how to do something like that. And then around these here parts, you go to like sort of these cheapo, whatever you call it. No offense to Pennsylvania, but the mountains around here for skiing aren't always like, they're kind of tiddly-winks compared to Colorado, I guess, or Nevada or Palm Springs or whatever out in California. So, but people will do it just to get out there and ski. I went with high school and I was scared, oh my gosh. And I dated a guy who was a navigator in the Air Force, and he actually took me to Lake Tahoe. Now, believe me when I say, technically it would be like taking someone almost from the projects and trying to stick them on a mountain. It's kind of a case. So I grew up with a single mom, and my experiences were mostly about survival, and it's hard to explain, so I was really scared. Anyway, do you want this bridge or that one? That one goes to weird, that gets a little weird over there, that bridge. That's the one where I think you have to climb up the steps. There's an ice rink like further down and you have to climb up. So we'll take this bridge, which will bring us around the Franklin Stadium. So here's some public bathrooms. And tennis, anyone? So people are down here practicing tennis and so forth and so on. And wrapping it up for the night. Get their studies in later. I mean, if history serves correct in my case, usually there's a couple exams right before Thanksgiving or right after Thanksgiving, so that while you're at home trying to enjoy Thanksgiving, you're worried about those exams right after Thanksgiving. And the Ivy League, it actually says it on there, Penn Tennis. Pete Sam. Of course, we saw those old-fashioned tennis rackets the other day with the wood around the, the wooden ones with the wood frame that holds everything in place. So we'll kind of show really quick. There's FMC, there's the city back there. And so here we are, tennis. How cool is that? Isn't it so fun? Like I grew up very sort of introverted and I knew, I would learn somewhere during high school, like, oh, a lot of people come to the library and hang out and study, and it's like 8, 9 o'clock at night, and they're still at the public library during high school, you know? I didn't know this. I was at home a lot, I guess, or working. So then I got here, and it's like, you kind of forget. You're like, all these people are really active. They stretch their days out. They stay strong. And when you know, sometimes it takes money to be able to do it. Like, this doesn't take much money to walk around and sort of just talk and have and rant. But you would have to have a smartphone. I just have the essentials. I don't have like a major package. So I have just the essentials smartphone, unlimited data. So you would have to have that. And then you can walk around and do some stuff. And then try not to be frustrated, because it's incredibly difficult to get subscribers, and depends on your situation and your topic. If you have a dog or a cat, you might get subscribers right away if you can do funny videos and stuff like that. That's the plan for the future. I was like, if I'm ever in a position to live in a house and have a dog and a cat and so forth and so on, I would totally love to have adventures with, you know, and have it just become, you know, a human diary, a girl and her dog, Serpico. I decided already, if I get a dog, I would name him Serpico. It kept coming up off of Sherpa. So I watched Sherpa and Sherpa's Day, maybe because of his license plate, because every time I saw the license plate on this guy's car, I'm like, what is that? Serpico? Is that, where do I know that from? So I finally looked it up. Frank Serpico is an actual character from a movie about police corruption in New York City. Can you believe it? I was like, done. Serpico it is then. So in a way, it's a certain type of snitch. It would be a snitch about corruption, even among those who aren't supposed to be corrupt at all, right? It's so funny. So, but I just liked the name. I'm like, Serpico is kind of totally awesome. So we'll see if it sticks or not. But my dad's name was Frank. So I was like, well, maybe it's a sign to actually, like, if I can ever afford to have a dog, which I really do want one, I need a companion, and, you know, in my life, odds are I'll be single for the rest of my life. So why not have the companionship of, you know, the unconditional love offered by animals? I used to have cats, but they wound up dead, kind of timed in with everything that kicked off in 2011. So in a way, I actually think some of my pets were killed off for this. And that's the Philly way, I guess. Constantine, everything's organized, agended out, and timed. You know, Franklin Field, speaking of Frank. So here's Franklin Field. And the regular public can actually go in here. I don't know if there are certain dates. I forget how it works, but I used to run with a running group, and a guy named Mike, he would be like, you want to go over to Franklin Field? Because you can go in there and run, like, during the summer and stuff, between, like, I don't know, like 5 and 8 or something like that. Becca's Franklin Field. Serpico. Frank Serpico. Exposing police corruption in New York City. I think that's what I read on the Wikipedia. Leitner 3, Gate 3, or Leitner the 3rd, Gate, whatever. So here we are over in West Philadelphia. And this is Franklin Field. This is also right on the cusp of the medical center, like a huge mecca medical complex, if you will, which includes Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, aka CHOP. Columbia on this little golf cart. Columbia in the house with a 3 for a B. That's actually intel for some people, I think. So Columbia would be one of the toughest groups to be a part of, or worst groups, because that is hardcore drug enforcement agency. Why Columbia? Is it coffee or is it cocaine? I don't know. So funny. South America. Back off, South America. You know? I'm kidding. I just mean the drug trade and the cartels and the families who sort of come with agendas to ruin people's lives and pocketbooks and stuff like that. So I guess that's what happens. That's what I'm told. So some people wind up always buying Columbia products, clothing and apparel, because they believe that they're part of a certain network that handles drug cartels and stuff like that. Right, did Dale used to get Columbia? Yeah. So some guy I met who showed up at a class that I was teaching at the community college in Gainesville, Florida. This was a non-credit class that was available for lifelong learners. So it's a little bit easier to be able to teach a class like that. You just have to have enough people sign up. It's not like being hired full-time. You get hired as an adjunct. Right here, instructor would be the best word description. So you don't get paid that much. It's like $20 or $25 per hour. But anyway, this guy named Dale would show up, and he wore Columbia all the time. And he says, it's one of these things like, is that true? And I believe him because it actually did come up. But he graduated with a degree in law and became, over the time, parlayed his work into becoming a prosecutor for against drug cartels, while working in Miami, Florida, and then later Jacksonville, Florida. So as a result, he kind of could, sometimes he says stuff that can be a little harsh to regular people, don't like to be treated harshly, but I think it comes with the territory. You learn to behave a certain way towards people because you've seen so much of the dark side, ugly side of human nature that so that you sort of just learn to converse with people a certain way, because it's like, oh, did I do anything? I didn't do anything wrong. So anyway, Franklin Field, ladies and gentlemen. So there it is, and I forget the schedule for the regular public, but at certain times of the year, you can actually just go in and do your laps as a regular person who has no affiliation with the University of Pennsylvania. So I have no affiliation, and I went with a friend back in the day, and you can run the stairs, you can run the actual laps around the racetrack or what have you. So there's Penn Medicine over there. I have a niece who had to spend like 2.5 months over in the Founders Building. I think that's it. I'm not certain. So I was trying to figure out which building was which, but I'm pretty sure that's it. In fact, I worked for DoorDash for a while. Are we crossing over? All right, we'll do Franklin Field. So I was working for DoorDash, and I'm almost certain I actually delivered something to the Founders Building. It gets a little confusing. So I heard that on the airwaves. But it does get a little confusing because they have like 3 names applied to every single building. So you have Ray Perlman's, medical center or something, whatever. Then you have the, Penn Medicine this, Penn Medicine that. So here comes an ambulance. It was sent to me, so it's not like people can hear people directly. So someone will send me little phrases, and I'm wondering if someone's thinking it in their brains, because it's like I already know it was sent to me. It's hard to explain. It's like having your brain as receiving text messages. It's hard to explain. Nothing important. I had to be dragged all the way up into another corner of the universe because of how bad this was and how poorly people who are in a position to help, how poorly they behaved. They are on the naughty list big time for Santa Claus. Gainesville, Raintown. So there are people who are in a position to be better human beings, like to do stuff. Oddly, I found this interesting. People who have less often tend to be more compassionate because they understand the hardships of life. And I discovered this also a little bit while being a waitress at Ruby Tuesdays at the Christiana Mall. Can you believe everyone would fight for the smoking section? They're like, I want the smoking section because you get better tips in the smoking section. So a lot of people are tightwads and they don't want to, smokers, often they'll drink a little more. Also, they understand hardship, so they often appreciate their waitresses more. So it would be like everyone's like, please give me, please, I gotta clear $500 this weekend, and if I can get $200 tonight, I know I'm clear, So it's, little interesting factoid. Compassionate people often have lower incomes and understand the hardships of life. Other people just sort of forget. And they're like, we don't want people to know that it was like $600,000 of inheritance money that got me this house. I know that if I had to, this would be someone who got like a huge inheritance check. I know that if I just added up my income, it wouldn't have actually provided for me and my kids. That's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. Canned applause, canned laughter, and a few crickets in the back there with the people who actually get that sizable check and won't admit that their job wouldn't have supported themselves or their kids. Just their job alone, without a spouse, without grandparents who are wealthy or other people's parents who paved the way, they wouldn't have what they have today. It's a fact. So shout out to the ginger cakes and with the hardships, right? So the shout out to the rest of us, the people left behind, forgotten about, people who weren't considered, people who are kicked to the curb, wondering, oh my God, I don't really understand what happened and I don't know what to do. I can't believe this. You can really throw someone into a vortex and all of a sudden they're on the street looking as if they're bad news, when really they're not. The bad news is sitting in a couple 5 properties. Got one on the beach, got one over here, got one over there. Those are bad news. That's a song. I kind of forget. So here, look at this city line. This is from the South Street Bridge. I was told to come this way for a reason, to come through all of Penn. It's all lit up. There are still people out here. Someone's still cleaning up the tennis courts over here. And this is one of the best views in the house from South Street Bridge of the city. When you're in the city, of course, you only see certain things because you're right there in it and looking up at the tall buildings. So a little bit about me. I have always rented. I've never owned anything except for like a car once. And I guess I got that other junky one the second time around. But anyway, I've always had to rent. I have 84, count them, and I have a video on this, 84 different entities who I've been paid by in my lifetime. It is possible because I had to piece together all kinds of jobs in order to get by. I've been up and down all over the place in terms of income. Fortunately, in an odd series of events, during the pandemic, I worked for Shipt. I was able to use my mom's car. Thank God. Of course, it was a 1996 Ford Escort LS, no air conditioning in Florida, with 100 degrees plus weather. And I hustled big time because I was so afraid to not have money in the bank, because I had to leave Philadelphia with a dwindling dog walking clientele and stuff like that. So it's hard to explain. A whole bunch of things happened, and people who won't show their faces in Philadelphia ever again are actually helping from a distance remotely. It's like being a remote viewer. So anyway, I hustled big time. And because no limitations were put on, during the pandemic, they had forgiveness for everything, whether you were late, if you couldn't find all the products, you could get away with a whole bunch of things that you can't get away with any longer with Shipt, because they have all kinds of things in place which are really limiting, I think, because it's incredibly difficult. It's actually a hard job, and you have to put up with a lot of people who don't know hard work, and you have to put up with all these attitudes of people, and it's like, oh my God, you think I was their spouse. Oh, can you pick up peanut butter? Oh, can you pick up? Oh, and I forgot to put it. And it's like, put everything on the order at first. But anyway, so I worked big time during 2020, saved up a lot of money right quick. Oh, good. Got the pedestrian thing right on time. We got 13 seconds to get over here. 76. This is east and west, I-76. And I know this because I used to drive up here, and my mom drove up here, and also I got to get to I was thinking about doing the zoo on Friday night. So I have to figure out how to get there if I'll actually walk through Mantua. And I was able to save up a lot of money during the pandemic, and that allowed me to move here. I had no idea where I was going to live. I actually applied at lesser places because I was like, where am I going to live? And I have this amount of money in the bank. And I went for an apartment that was similar to what I had before. They actually turned me away. I wound up here desperately trying to find an apartment. And I called an old property management company that I rented from years ago, and I had perfect rent with them. And I explained to them my whole story, and they're like, don't worry, you know, we have a couple units we can show you. It was still technically the pandemic here. Philadelphia was later to return to normal because of the density of the population. So in a way, a lot of people were, you know, they're happy to get money. So if you can pay to live somewhere, and if they know you're an okay person, and you're not going to ruin their property or something, like, then they were okay with, I think they felt sorry for me a little, but also a half empty building. So that's how I wound up where I am today. But also a lot of hard work, a lot of struggle. I didn't move to Philadelphia until I was 30. And I lived with my mom. A whole bunch of us lived together with my mom in an apartment at one point. So we were all trying to, like, you know, make it, so forth and so on. So I'm so glad I made it up here. But still, in 2011, a whole bunch of people decided to ambush me for some reason. And it was like a Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland experience. So... and a lot of harassment. You think I would have exposed the tobacco industry, like stuff that you see in movies, like I know what that happened to me. But you don't get to call police. Like in the movie, they kind of show that Russell Crowe in the movie, like he works with people invisibly sometimes. Like people are quietly trying to help him without getting stuck in, you know, on the receiving end of this harassment. It is a big deal what happened. Some people see it as biblical. I don't think I'm all that in a bag of chips. I was minding my own business and my life changed overnight. And it's like, I know a whole bunch of people wanted me to seem crazy. I'm not crazy, but I know a lot of people thought I'd be dead by now. And oh well, guess I won out. So, here, Robert's research. Right, put it in the evidence bag. Research. What do they need to research? I felt like I was part of someone's research group by a bunch of morons who don't know anything because they're so dumb they have to examine everybody else all the time to figure out how to live life. I do not respect researchers. I don't love the medical industry that much. They're okay, but I'm hoping to avoid them as much as I can by eating as good as I can. Tonight was a little bit of a, I guess, cheat. I kind of broke a lot of rules. Technically, it's like I will actually get sick if I eat stuff that's outside of my normal regimen at this point in time. So it is like a thing, like, but I was like, I'm going to do this for my mom because I can't believe they actually have cheese curds on the menu. Because you didn't see cheese curds too often before. Not up here in New England town. I was like, cheese curds? Are you kidding? Fried cheese curds. So I figured as a dedication to my mom, I would go ahead and eat them. So I didn't eat the whole thing. Actually, they give you a lot. So technically, if you want to come out to the Walnut Garden and you like that kind of thing, they give you a whole basket of cheese curds. This is like, 40 of them in there. So I brought some home to put in my refrigerator, but I'll have to drink a lot of water because I don't eat fried food. It will make me a little bit sick. And I got to squeeze into these Snowpants. So they just fit. It's kind of odd. At the waist, they just fit, but I think they're designed that way because people fall down all the time. They're on the snow slopes, and all of a sudden slope sounded like a weird word. Are we doing? Anyway, so they have a little bit of elastic on the sides and then like straight front with a clasp. So, oh, look at this sweet thing. Oh, hi. Hey, hey, what's up? Yeah, meet you later. So we'll head on here. We actually have the pedestrian walkway. So hello. Sorry, I have to. Uh, I what? Oh, what's the stream about? So I usually just go on and on. Sometimes I interact with people who come in. Which way am I going? South Street or? We'll go this way instead. So I do walking live streams. Sometimes I talk about something that started in 2011, which is really bad. I was totally ambushed in my apartment, and it's hard to explain. It's almost as if I were a whistleblower for against the tobacco industry. Like, it's kind of in that realm. It felt like that, but I have no idea how you get justice for it because I'm a regular person. Regular people rarely find justice. That's a little lesson to learn. Police in general just handle very obvious crimes. They don't know what to do with more sophisticated, high-level psychological terror. But other people kind of came in, and I think I'm being scooted along here, so I do in a way. So sometimes you'll hear me ask like which way to go because I am told what to do every second. It's a blast, right? So welcome in. Thank you so much. Where are you from? And sorry, I have watery eyes from walking out here, and I can't necessarily see. I see Sly Puppy 5. Yes, okay. Sly Puppy, thank you. So often Joe comes in, and he's sort of from the Upper Darby area. Dave from Bangor, Maine will come in. I'm kind of on the new or green side of live streaming, kind of. In New York, a lot of people live stream, and they just they show, all the fabulous, fantastic Fantasia things in New York. New York is very popular. People from around the world love to see all the big city stuff, things in New York, like the Big Apple store, the Christmas tree, in Rockefeller Plaza when it will be lit. I might go up to New York. I'm trying to decide if I'll make a day of it. I wanted to do the High Line. I am trying to grow my channel. So it's not a huge priority just because I talk about stuff that not a lot of people want to hear about. It's a little bit conspiracy and a lot of how badly Philadelphia behaved and how often I have to report. I am actually required to report stuff. So it's a personal requirement, but are we going this way? So I've been around the city a million times. I was kind of stuck in dog walking once after I was ambushed in my apartment. It became like this crazy circus show here. It's hard to explain. If it happened to you, you would know it instantly if something were going on. It's so quiet today. It's nothing like it was in 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It started to slow down a little. I don't know. I have no idea. I think people hid behind the politics. So, we can do this now because, it's hard to tell, like, if people used certain time periods so that people would wonder, like, who's responsible for this? Were they hiding, in hope, in a way. I went through a million things. I no longer vote because of this, but I wondered if people would try to make it seem like it was Obama and Biden's fault and they would hide behind that. Or is it just politics in general? I voted for Obama twice because I didn't want people pushing me around the second time. I was like, I feel like people are forcing me to not vote, but I kept being tortured, so I no longer will ever vote ever in the United States of America ever again. Ever. I will never do it. I refuse. This thing was so bad, it's just like, I don't care. I'm going to exercise my right to not vote. That's my statement. Because whatever happened here, it shouldn't have gone on, and for that long, my life was threatened constantly. I wound up with stitches in my face because of an accident, and it was very questionable as to how it happened, a bike accident. There are people around here who are overly timed. They're told what to do. Maybe their lights flash a lot in their living room, and it helps them make decisions. Let's see, should I do this tonight? Blink, 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 blink. Little secret for you. Or you could be totally terrorized by that technology. It's hard to explain, but terrorists, or jackasses in a city who have too much time on their hands and a lot of money. They can use all kinds of means to manipulate, terrorize, torture, and try to control someone. So I had to document all of that. And whenever something really bizarre or weird happens or very uncool things, I do actually report it. I'm ongoing will report until somebody fixes. So I stream a lot about what happened to me, or I'll just keep talking just to keep, so there's not dead air or anything. Philadelphia is an impressive city, but it's only so big. But here we are in the Schuylkill Riverbanks Park area. So a lot of people will come out and play basketball. We got kids on the court tonight. So often, and it's a Tuesday night, so it's sort of, often you'll get a lot of people doing pickup games. Maybe only up to a certain hour, I'm not sure. They do worry about people coming down here with drugs. So just know, these people here, just consider them Nazis at this point, because they can watch in ways that most people wouldn't believe. So just assume that these courts have ears and eyes all the time. People can hear what's going on from a distance. It is like Santa Claus. They don't need a phone. And in this area, there's a lot of money in this area. We have the dog park over here. And I'm not sure why they haven't fixed the lights yet, but I'm sure they're working on it. It looks a lot darker in person. This phone is like, it must gather light and sort of create light in the viewfinder. But in person, it looks a lot darker. Hi, big guy. Yes, aw. Hey, sweet thing. Yes. Right. Hopefully hopefully the dad's in there. The dog kind of looked like he was looking for his owner. So the big dog park over here, and it has a French design. The small dog park over there. A bridge over to the Riverwalk up there. When they first created this, they described like how it was built and the design that was used. It has some sort of French design with artificial turf that allows for drainage to go off a certain way. I just remember bits and pieces of the newsletter that was shown to me because of a guy I ran with, Mike, the same guy who brought me over to the Franklin Field to run over there, like do the steps and do some relays, or he had a certain way to train for marathons and stuff like that. I met him through the gay running group called Front Runners. So I was trying to get out there to participate in life and like create relationships. Like, when you move to a big city, it's like, how do you become part of a community? And just before 2011, I was part of the Front Runners. I did dragon boat racing. For that 1 year, I volunteered with a group called Team Philadelphia. I also volunteered with a group called the Sapphire Fund before that. So I felt like I had these people who I kind of was like, mingling with or what have you, circulating with. And I got circulating first, but I didn't feel like using it because I'm naturally a writer and editor, so my brain operates very quickly. But anyway, it's just a skill that developed. I'll be 53 in a few weeks, so trust me, by the time you've written as much as I have, it's like the brain is just on automatic, So I am actually smarter than those who feed me, because their skills are in a different area, finance and stuff like that. So they could help me with that later on, because I have no idea what to do should you ever get a big windfall. Which I'm counting on. So anyway, here's a beautiful garden down here. Certified wildlife habitat. I love walking down here. They actually got this certification, and you have to qualify because it has food, water, cover, and places to raise young. So that's what qualifies as a wildlife habitat. That's right. That's where the word comes from. So the word habitat came up because the Green Street Cafe, coffee shop, the one that used to be down there on 11th and Spruce, is now Habitat. I was by there the other day. It's been Green Street forever. An era is over here in Philadelphia. The Green Street Cafe is now Habitat. That's it. All right. I have a little answer to a little question that came up and I kind of forgot because I was like, what? The Green Street Cafe is gone. I did and didn't like the Green Street Cafe. It was very small, so a lot of people would sit outside, when the weather was good enough. Um, and it was incredibly tiny inside. Every once in a while, they had ice cream, so you could get like an affogato, which is a shot of espresso over ice cream. So good, by the way. But I would try to go to Green Street Cafe upon return. So I was away for 2.5 years in Florida, came back, and for some reason, I wasn't loving Green Street Cafe. I think it was because they had certain people on staff who might be part of who are used to growing up in orchestrated communities. It's hard to explain. So they would already know how to have a certain je ne sais quoi or attitude, and also they would say certain words on purpose. It's hard to explain. I can't stand that stuff. So 210 on One Riverside. So that's the toothbrush building. And I was put off right away by whoever was working at the Green Street Cafe when I returned. So oops. Okay, sorry about that. Every once in a while, we have a little bit of an intercept or a jam on the stream, so it'll cut out, for various reasons. We're down here by the railroad tracks. Anyway, who knows, some people might have devices on them that automatically cuts out people's live streams. It happened a lot more frequently before, but that's okay. This phone it's not necessarily 100% owned by me. It might be owned by the State Department. What's the State Department? Look it up. I had to. I had to look up everything. It's one of the branches of the government, and certain things fall under the State Department. So the Commander-in-Chief has a Secretary of State. Who's the Commander-in-Chief? That's actually the President. The President, aka Commander-in-Chief. So I know it seems like, I thought it was a military thing. Technically, he would have last say for the State Department and so forth and so on. Secretary of State, someone you might know or remember back in the day, Hillary Clinton served as Secretary of the State, and she was the one who was willing to she ran herself ragged by traveling all over the place to maintain niceties, right, with other countries, like keeping the relations balanced and on good terms so that people don't freak out and then bomb your kitchen or something, So anyway, so Ambrosia used to be Sandy's, like Sandy Hook or Hurricane Sandy or Sandusky. I guess the Sandys are over, and now we have Ambrosia. A lot of Sandy came up. I should have had a YouTube channel called Sandy something. Get like 1 million views, 1 million hits. Remember, that was all in the same time period. Sandusky, Sandy Hook, the shooting at the elementary school, and who'd have thunk it? New Jersey wound up with a damaging hurricane. That happens like once every 500 years. And Obama met with Krispy Kreme donut. I'm kidding. I say that on purpose, but I forget his name, that's why. Chris Christie or whatever, in Brigantine. And if you're of a certain age, why would you have heard of Brigantine in this area? Brigantine Castle. Why do people use the word castle? That's okay. I grew up around Newcastle, Delaware, Newark, and Newcastle. Does that mean I get a new castle? Who's at the controls up there in the sky anyway? Is everything rigged? Did they control the weather? Got a little tap on the brain here. The Fiddler focus. Newcastle. Brigantine Castle. So they used to advertise Brigantine Castle all the time because they wanted to up their tourism dollars, I guess. And Obama met with Chris Christie in Brigantine. Wonder if they chose that on purpose. And Toms River area. Close all to there together. They might have done both, but I feel like it's all. And I learned this because, wow, that's awkward. Isn't that dumb that lady had to start up just as I was passing? I knew she was doing it. So anyway, isn't it so awkward when you're trying to walk down the street and people have to like start walking with you? And people do it on purpose, and they do know that. So get really uncomfortable in Philly. You're like walking down the street and people have to like all of a sudden they wait on the wall for you to come by, and then they'll start walking as if they're your friend. They do it in airports, they do it at the train station, they do it here, they do it there, they do it everywhere. The joy of sex. I just decided to throw in that because it went with they do it here, they do it there, they do it everywhere. So Brigantine Castle, right. Forget what I was talking about, sorry. So here we are walking east on the north side of Locust Street on the 2100 block.
Honestly, that was like the one night that I was like...
I used to take care of cats on Van Pelt Street, right down here at the SS Gill house. I forget the exact address. This location here, this building here, wound up with a major, like 5 to 10 alarm fire. I don't know how high the alarms go, but I can remember because I was walking a Yorkshire Terrier in Rittenhouse Square, just down here, another 2.5 blocks. And the weather, it must have been winter-ish season because it got dark early. Also, we had some wind going, so like it would blow all the smoke blew towards Rittenhouse. It got really quiet, and I would walk through and it felt like Apocalypse Now. I was like, it feels like a movie scene. I'm walking Cody, who's crackling on the leaves as a little tiny Yorkshire Terrier. So there's someone going down there. So I used to take care of cats. A house there worth $5 million. I looked it up, they moved. And I think they sold it for about $5 million. Or did they ask 5 first and then got 3.5? Anyway, it's over $3 million. And that's the kind of money that's flowing around here. I'm expecting that check, right? I'm expecting a check like that one of these days because of what started for the pain and suffering, mental anguish, death threats, and so much more. And they actually were death threats. There are people who kept track of a lot of things, and if you're really high intel, those people are fed. They will know what happened to you because it's given to them. So, and they will have an understanding of how bad it was without having to be present. So it's hard to explain. You would know, like, say you talk to somebody who's, an agent with, I don't know, the DEA or something. I'm just picking the Drug Enforcement Agency. I don't know. And say you're talking to someone and all of a sudden you're able to very easily and very clearly get everything out really quick. And you're like, wow, I've never been so prolific in my entire life. So that would be the higher up people helping you to explain something really quick because they already know it was bad. And you go home and you're like, I don't know how to talk like I talked earlier. I don't know why Obama couldn't do that famous... Remember when Obama had that speech? This is before he threw his hat in the ring for presidency. But that speech was the turning point. And everyone's like, wow, oh my God, drop the mic. That was an awesome speech, blah, blah, blah. He could never do it again. Why? So there are a couple theories. One would be he might have been helped a little bit because they needed him to be pushed along, or they wanted him to get to the next level really quick. And they can't keep doing that because the people who can't stand it, they cannot stand that there are people so high up that they will make sure things come into play for a reason, history or whatever, equality. There are people who hate that and they try to deprogram people. We have people working at behavioral health centers trying to deprogram people. And maybe there are things in place for a reason. So every once in a while, these angels in the sky will come along and try to help someone who's been oppressed so much it's ridiculous. They want me to turn it off. Okay, so good night. I am told to turn it off right now. So thank you, Sly Puppy, Joe, Akram, and Dave. Thank you so much.